They said you wanted to see me, Coach?
Yeah, man. Step on up into my office. It's HomeSpun Sports with Coach John Montgomery. Sports talk with a twist of down-home wisdom. Welcome, and Merry Christmas. You've tuned in to HomeSpun Sports. It's sports talk with just a twist of down-home wisdom. I am your host, John Montgomery, the coach. I'm right here in Houston, Texas, way up in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. The last P in the shell, my show-enough partner in crime. What's up, Slim?
What's going on with you, Coach? How you doing today?
Oh, man. Merry Christmas, Slim. I'm excited about show number 17.
And happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Ladies and gentlemen, our very special guest for today's show played in the National Football League for 10 years. He was selected in the first round in 1995 by the New York Giants. He is one of the most highly decorated athletes in football and in track in the history of metropolitan Detroit public schools. He was an assistant coach at Syracuse in 2010 through 2012. He was an assistant with the Buffalo Bills in 2013 and 2014. He was an assistant at his alma mater, Michigan, in 2015 and 2016. He was an assistant with the Jacksonville Jaguars from 2017 to 2018. He is currently the head football coach of HBCU football, Morgan State Bears. Ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome my good and sure enough good friend, Coach Tyrone Wheatley. Tyrone.
Coach. Oh, wait, Coach. You muted his mic. Coach, you muted your mic.
Oh, man, I'm going to put it to you this way. You're going to have to, I'm going to have to make sure I got to put you on the payroll, man. I got to have you introduce me everywhere I go now.
Wow. Tyrone. You better call Tyrone.
Tyrone.
Hey, all depends on what you calling me for.
You better call him. Tyrone, man. I go back with you to 2003. I am a participant in the Bill Walsh Minority Apprenticeship Program. And this was a very unique apprenticeship for me because normally those things run about a week, 10 days, and you got to get back to your football program and get on with coaching at your school. But I was very fortunate at that time. I was out of football, and Bruce Allen, the general manager, hooked me up through Willie Brown, a man you knew well.
Mm-hmm.
And because I was out of football, I was able to stay almost the duration of training camp. Hence, I got to be in the in or out going ons with the Oakland Raiders for almost 4 weeks. And in that time, man, geez, meeting you for the very first time, along with the Jerry Rices and the Tim Browns of the world, boy, what an all-star cast. Charles Woodson was a second-year player with the Raiders. I had the time of my life. But one thing that I always remember well about you, Wednesday night Bible study, the first one in there with his Bible in his hand was Tyrone Wheatley. And man, I've watched you, Tyrone, over the years. I've watched you walk the talk. And man, just you've always been a stand-up guy. We're so grateful for your spirit, taking out time for your busy recruiting schedule to be a part of our show.
No, listen, I tell you, when you talk about God makes no mistakes and he put people in your life for a season and for a reason, you've covered Many seasons and many reasons, man. I was, you just meet somebody and you just say, okay, I want some of what he has. And
Yeah.
you were that guy for me.
Oh man.
It was.
Well, you might have kind of say that, Tyrone, man. We might have kind of say that. You might have kind of say that.
It's really true because, a lot of men come into those minority internships and they all have their reasons. They all want to try and get in. They're all trying to, break the door in, so to speak, get the foot in the door, however you want to phrase it. And it's really, I didn't know you were out of football at that point in time. So that kind of clears it up. But you were genuine. I mean, you were real genuine. You could just feel it. Like there was nothing, like most guys try and get closer to players. We try and figure like, hey man, listen, getting close to us is not your way in. You wasn't that guy. You were not that guy. It was very genuine. And it was just really good to see you there. And you would talk to us, you would drop. And the thing I laugh about with you is I laugh because you drop jewels, right? You'll drop a jewel. And you quick to tell somebody, hey, I just dropped you something, you better pick it up. You better pick it up.
Well, I tell you, man, and I think back on that, man, sitting in those meeting rooms, Bill Callahan was the head coach. Fred Biletnikoff, the wide receiver coach. Jim Harbaugh was the assistant quarterback coach. The great Willie Brown coached the wide receivers. I tell you, man, Tyrone, I got to confess, I was starstruck. No question.
But you couldn't tell though. You held your own, man, and it was great.
Coach Wheatley.
Yeah.
Now I understand you're gonna be partial, but I still want to know for myself. December 31st, your Michigan Wolverines will be taking on Georgia Bulldogs in the Orange Bowl. What does it take, in your opinion, for Michigan to win the game or Georgia to win the game?
Well, here's the deal. Right now, I think Michigan. I don't think I know. Right now, Michigan is playing Michigan football. And what does that mean? Up front, they're stopping the run, and they have two edge rushers that can get after the passer. Now, here's the deal in football. You know this. This is where people try, and I don't care if you spread them out. I don't care if it's 8-man football. I don't care what it is. You can stop the run, and you got to throw that peel. Some bad things got to happen. And that's what Michigan is doing. They're making teams throw the ball. Okay, that's what happened to Ohio State. And I felt like Ohio State got behind the chains and throwing the ball. It wasn't the regular Ohio State team that you saw in the past that was going to come out and whoop you. The weather. I mean, I would just say this: it was the perfect storm for Michigan. The weather was inclement. You had to run the ball, and now flipping to the other side. We do a great job defensively of stopping the run and making you throw the ball. But we got some horses back there in that backfield that can tote that peel. Mm-hmm. Them boys run that. Them men, can call them boys. Them men run that ball, and they run it well. And them young men's up front, we used to call them hogs. And they hungry. Hogs like to eat. Them guys eat up the other side of the field. They gonna put it on you, right?
Yes, sir.
And we have receivers that do their job. It goes back to the old thing of we don't want the quarterback to try and win the game because he can't. We just want him to manage it. Put us in the right positions, make the right calls, manage the call that comes in. Don't try and make a play. Just manage the call that come in. That's it.
Tyrone, and I hear you, man, and I'm excited to see this game. My only question is, what Michigan does well?
Run.
They knocked Ohio State off the ball. So did Oregon a couple of weeks earlier. But what Michigan does well is exactly what Georgia stops well.
Well, let's go back to the Alabama game. Okay, let's go back to the Alabama game. I don't know why Alabama went away from the run, but they went to it early. Listen, when it's like that bully, they do it well. But how many people have Georgia really, really went up against that run the ball well? That's going to come at you well. Okay, it's the old school heavyweight fight. Now this ain't no just I'm the champ and I've been running through some guys. Now you got a team that's built for this. This is going to be a slug out match. We're not going to try and go to the pass. I say we like I'm there. Michigan will not try and go to the pass. They're going to run the ball. They're going to run the ball, and they're going to run the ball. And here's the deal: they're going to make Georgia stop it. Okay, they're going to make Georgia stop it. But my point to this is, has Georgia been able to do this week in and week out? Are you battle tested week in and week out? 1 or 2 games don't really matter. But when it's something that it's the old 3 yards in a cloud of dust. I know that I can live with 3 yards and I'm okay with it. And I'm not going to panic and say, oh, I need to put this ball in there to get. I'm okay with it. I'm okay winning this game 3-7, 3-6, 10-7. You know, the numbers don't matter.
Tyrone, and I hear you. And one thing I will attest to, because I saw it at the Raiders camp, Jim Harbaugh is a brilliant offensive mind. I saw what he did with the Ravens when he had Kaepernick. He's a brilliant. He can implement an offense. At some point in time, he's going to have to do something similar to what Nick Saban did with Bryce Young and open that thing up and throw that ball. He's going to have to make some vertical throws down the field to beat Georgia. Now, I know you're for the maize and blue, but he got to open that thing up.
But here's the deal, though. I compare the 2 conferences, and they're very different. Don't get me wrong. SEC has been reigning champs, whatever everybody want. But in all honesty, how many teams they play a year? Right? How many teams they play a year? That Big Ten conference is like the old Norris division, black and blue for a reason. Do you know what I mean? Like our body, they're callous. They're made for that. Yeah. Now, they have the ability, Michigan, they being Michigan, have the ability to open that thing up and air it out. But it goes back to my statement. I'm not going to air it out unless I not necessarily have to. And I'm not going to panic because I get 3 yards. I can live with those 3 yards. It's like the heavyweight fight. Can you deal with getting hit in your ribs, in your chest, with straight body blows for 12 rounds? Yeah. Are you built for that?
Yeah.
Tyrone, that has been Georgia's strength. You telling me they're going to come at him like Joe Frazier? Let's hope that Georgia isn't Muhammad Ali.
No, but here's the deal. It's like anything else, though. And that's why the football game is the ultimate game of like chess, right? It's the ultimate game of chess. You have pieces. Everybody understands what those pieces could do, right? Like your Brook makes only move, right? Your knight can only make a certain move. Your queen, she can go all over the board. Your king but it's who and how you're using those pieces, and it's how you're setting them up, and that's the big deal. Not
Coach Wheatley.
Yes, sir.
Now, you being the head coach of Morgan State, HBCU, again, Deion Sanders has made attending these games, these HBCU games, more fashionable. You have a kid, he likes you personally, and he likes Morgan State. He likes Morgan State. But that kid also got an offer from Michigan. What is it that you're saying to that young man, knowing that Jim Harbaugh is sitting on the same couch that you are? What are you telling that kid and his parents? Why should he come to you?
There's a difference. There's a huge difference.
Well, I want to hear this now. I want to hear this.
It's like big corporation, right? Do you want to take a job where it's more personable? Do you want to take a job where I'm just not a ID number, right? I'm giving you the opportunity to grow. I'm going to pay for you to go to get your master's class to now say, hey, man, you want to elevate in this company? Go get your master's. I will pay for you to go get your master's. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's a personable. It's a more home type feel where you're just not a number. If it came down to it, and some things went down like COVID went through, you're not a number. I'm not going to cut you because I got to make payroll. If that makes sense. You see, the people make this. When I say make this, meaning the players make Morgan. See, Michigan's a monster. You got to feed that monster. And every once in a while, somebody has to be a sacrificial lamb to be fed to feed that monster.
Okay.
You only get so many swings at that ball at Michigan.
Tyrone,
you're talking to a guy who was there.
I know. And I know you've been there, Tyrone. I've been in that same position, walked up on the front porch with guys I knew from Power 5 schools, carrying the briefcase from an HBCU, sat down in the living room across the table from coaches from Ohio State, Texas, Alabama, Georgia, etc. The thing that I first and foremost try to point out is understand something. Now I'm talking to Tyrone's mom and daddy. I'm talking to Shontavius's mom and daddy. You follow my point?
Yes, sir.
You better understand something. Your child's road to success is not the same road that Billy Bob's road to success is going to be. Okay? Now, mom and dad, in this case, Jim Harbaugh versus you. If you think Jim Harbaugh know what it's like to be a 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 20, 21-year-old African-American child, if you think he can fully identify with that, then you send your son to Michigan. But I'm telling you right now, I've been where your son is. Understand, he can get to, I know he wants to play in the NFL. I know he wants a gold jacket and be in Canton, Ohio. Willie Lanier did it from Morgan State. Leroy Kelly did it from Morgan State. The football field 100 yards long, 52.5 yards wide, wherever he goes. I will prepare your son to be a man. More than that, understand this. And I think this is very important, Tyrone. I'm going to make sure, mom and dad, that when if your child faces a situation like Ahmaud Arbery faced, if your child faces a situation like Trayvon Martin faced, I'm going to make sure
George Floyd.
your child is prepared to handle. Now, if you think Jim Harbaugh is equipped to make sure your child handles those types of situations, then you send your son to Michigan.
But it goes back to this. And so it's to counter that a little bit, you get the parents that says they want diversity because the world isn't all black.
Bingo.
Right? So that's why I say a lot of times the race card or the race route doesn't always, quote unquote, work. But I go to a more of a feel of personal, right? I wish I could show you text messages and things of just guys just thanking me and saying, hey, coach, whatever the case, that they come to me. Reason why I say the more personal thing is this. At that level, those coaches love the guys who are playing and producing for them. Everybody else is kind of just like we talked about. You got to feed the monster.
No question.
You got to feed the monster. But the guys, right, are there that's getting fed, that's the sacrificial lambs. They're happy because they got that block M on their chest, And then once that block M is over, they kind of figure out that, I did go to Michigan and all that thing, but it doesn't quite work out for you.
The undeniable, unrefutable, infallible fact still remains. Historical black colleges get our people ready for life.
That's my point. So that's what I was saying to you, going back to the personable thing, right? It's the most incredible thing in the world that when I look at Morgan, and I'm just talking about I call it the little triangle here, Morgan, Coppin State, Howard, all right? And you look at there, we produce more engineers, more African engineers, more African doctors. Our STEM programs are leading in the top, right? So we're producing the doctors, the lawyers. We're producing those type of people to go out in the world, right?
Absolutely.
But not only on top of that. So let's talk about the George Floyd. Let's talk about all those instances that you're talking about. So I was with the Jacksonville Jaguars and at the University of Michigan when all those incidents happened, right? And you have young men, young African-American men that are in a conundrum. Here's the deal. Do I raise my fist? Do I take a knee? How do I act? Because they're telling you, boy, don't embarrass us.
Mm-mm.
You better not take that knee. And on top of that, you have fans writing young men how you're a disgrace to this country. You're a disgrace to everything. Well, here at Morgan, we had a march right out in front of our campus that supports how you feel and what you feel like. And it's okay to be a black man. It's okay to understand what you're going through, right? So, and I'm going to just go back I'm going to call it a few years, to the Million Man March. I remember I wanted to attend the Million Man March. I had a coach tell me that march isn't for you.
What? He didn't know you. He didn't know you. He didn't know you. Woo. He didn't know you.
But here's the deal. Like I tell people, the lens of how you see life, the lens, it is color. It is color because I only see it through my color. I only see it through my perceptive, the way I've been persuaded. And who's the people that are persuading, right? Why you don't want me to take a knee? I can understand we have our differences, but can you have empathy for me?
For my situation.
And my situation? Well, that's not your situation. BS. I go home to Inkster, Michigan. I got to drive through Dearborn. There's a clip of Malcolm X. See, people don't know Malcolm X lived in Inkster for a minute. Okay, my hometown.
Okay.
He lived in Inkster. And there's a clip of him talking about driving through Dearborn back in the 60s. It ain't nothing changed when I was in high school.
All right.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
I've almost had those type of moments, right? Almost had those type of moments. A lot of people don't understand. Coach Slim, you the son, your dad, but I'm pretty sure you had to have that. Hey, man, you're getting of age. You're going out in public. You're going to be driving. So when you get pulled over by a police officer, this is how you handle yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So, we as black men have to have those conversations. And so when people come talking to me, and so like I talk to my players, I have those same conversations with my players.
Now you're bowling down my alley, player, because that's what I'm saying, Tyrone. That's what moms and dads need to understand. When they entrust their child with you, I don't care. Nick Saban can't identify with it, as great a coach as he is. Nick Saban ain't never been black in 18, 19, 20 years old. No. Lincoln Riley ain't never been black 18, 19, 20 years old. And if you ain't, it's a different agenda altogether. And ain't no way you can get around that. And the redemptive quality still is. And I'll go to my grave believing that. That gives us a fighting chance in recruiting, because if you ever get parents to understand it, our facilities are never going to be that. But if you're all about facilities, go play at Michigan, Ohio State. Go. But understand something. You can get to the NFL. Walter Payton proved it. Doug Williams proved it. Willie Brown proved it. Mel Blount proved it. Aeneas Williams proved it.
My son proved it.
Come on now.
Josh Miles proved it. Manasseh Bailey proved it. Those are 3 Morgan State men that are in the NFL right now. But
absolutely.
Hey, Coach, look, I thank you for saying the modern era as well, because as many great names as my father just named, and by the way, those are all legends, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, they're all old heads, the guys that played back in the day. Coach, excellent you just named off names from this generation, from my generation, that did it. Thank you.
Yes. But good point, Mildred. Good point.
But here's one thing we have to understand, though. A lot of these young men, it's really not the young men, and 9 times out of 10, it's really not the parents that we have to try and get the mind right. I call them street agents and these new trainers that are out there, right? Because what happens is, like anybody else, my stock as a trainer, my stock as a high school football coach. These high school football coaches recruit just as well as these doggone college coaches, because these kids now are hopping schools to go to these power high schools, right?
That transfer portal, yes, sir.
So now all of a sudden, me as a high school coach that's trying to get this, get Timmy, for instance, to come to my high school, I could tell Timmy, I've put 15 guys in Power 5s, right?
Yeah. So
now you got these coaches that are talking to these young men, and some of these parents don't know. We can go and sit on a house, because this is, to me, the game has changed in such that these parents don't know. And they are trying to lean on the backs of other folks that are leading them wrong, right? So you can go in and talk to these parents all you want, but whoever's getting to that child and getting to them, these street agents, these trainers, and all these high school coaches that want to say, oh, I got 15 guys at Maryland, I got 20 at Michigan. Okay, that's great. How many of them stick past their first year?
Good point. Good point. Good point.
Good point.
Tyrone, man, listen, we're praying for you. All the best to you. I know you out there on the road, hitting it, trying to build up your program, build up your roster, getting ready for this 2022 season. We're excited about it for you, man. We're pulling and praying for you. Thanks so much for taking the time to come on our show.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you so much.
Once again, man, I appreciate you guys for having me.
Man,
you've had a lineup on here now. You've had a lineup on here. You have some incredible guys on here. So for me to be on here, it's a blessing. I feel man honored.
Well, man, and do know we consider it an honor to you, man.
To
All
have
the
you,
best.
Coach. Thank you.
And man, hey man, go Morgan State. Tyrone, we're pulling for you. Big year. Hey man, the
Go
MEAC
Bears.
showed out, man, yesterday. So
Yes,
that's a
they did.
notch, that's a star in your crown for the MEAC to win the HBCU national championship.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Take care,
Appreciate
Coach.
you,
Take care.
Tyrone. Much
All right.
love, brother. Thanks, man.
All right. All right.
Wow. Slim, that's a man's man. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
He's a man's man. And I'm telling you, Slim, in his prime, Tyrone Wheatley could run that rock, man.
I'm talking about two-sport athlete, Coach. Two-sport athlete.
Yeah, man. He could run that rock. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, it's time for Slim's Pickings. Go ahead, Slim.
Yes, sir. State representative / lawmaker of Florida, Chip LaMarca, filed a new bill Wednesday after he was floored at the shock that the #1 recruit, Travis Hunter, was switching his commitment from Florida State to Deion Sanders and Jackson State University. This new bill will alter the school's name, image, and likeness law to give area schools more freedom to negotiate these NIL deals for their athletes. LaMarca said, "What's so ironic is I'm a Florida State and Deion Sanders guy. I'm a fan." But in his befuddlement, LaMarcus went on to say, "What is the reason to go from a program that was ranked in the top 5 for 12 years straight and won 3 national titles to a small HBCU in Mississippi? Deion, you was our boy when you were wearing this garnet and gold. I just cannot understand why you would think that a little, and oh yeah, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, he called us little, a little black school in Mississippi, you think you can get what we want. I just can't understand it." And no, Chip LaMarca, and you never will, but it's called entitlement. The great Ray Charles sang, "Oh, I'm just a friend that I just messed that up. I'm just a friend, and that's all I've ever been, because you don't know me." Stay tuned, sports fans, and that's Slim's Pickings.
Oh, man, no, you didn't go back and get an oldie but a goodie.
I mean, Coach, what a perfect scenario.
Ray Charles said, to you, I'm just a friend. That's all I've ever been.
And that's all I've ever been.
Because you don't know me.
Don't know me. Yes, sir.
No, they don't know. No, Slim,
College
they don't
football.
know. And you're right. You're right, my brother. It's called entitlement. No
It
question.
is. And they still don't understand it, Coach.
No, they don't.
But in college football, Coach, I saw your Facebook post. You said you had some tidbits about the Celebration Bowl. What's up with that?
I did, Slim. And congratulations to South Carolina State in their 31-10 victory in the Celebration Bowl, commemorating the national championship in black college football. Slim, that ball game could have very well been settled on Thursday night. I have a very good and dear friend, a gentleman by the name of Mike Summers, who we talked about on our show a few weeks back and congratulated him on his induction into the College Football Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
Thursday night, prior to yesterday's game, they had a big banquet at the College Football Hall of Fame for both teams, a banquet and a dinner.
Right.
And according to my friend Mike Summers, as they sat there listening to quarterback Shadir Sanders and a few more of the Jackson State players getting up to make their talks, their presentations, they were arrogant and overconfident, sure of themselves with a 12-1 record and a SWAC championship and a certain victory on Saturday. My friend Mike Summers got a couple of his contemporaries, men like Donnie Shell, South Carolina State grad, NFL Hall of Famer, Pittsburgh Steeler,
Yeah.
Harry Carson, South Carolina State grad, NFL Hall of Famer, New
Gold
York
jacket.
Giant. And they got in their car as soon as that banquet was over and rushed over to the hotel where the South Carolina State team was staying. They were in the lobby when the players got out of the car, brought them to a separate room, and looked them in the face and told them, Jackson State does not respect you. They don't think you are in their class. They're arrogant and cocky, and they're taking you lightly. And according to my friend Mike Summers, the South Carolina State captains assured Donnie Shell and Harry Carson and my good friend Mike Summers that they would represent on Saturday. And Slim, indeed they did. Indeed, they showed up did.
They should. 31-10, Coach.
31-10. You know, Mildred, I'm also, I would be remiss if I didn't point out a quote by Coach Nick Saban. And I think it manifested itself again on yesterday's game when Nick Saban said, accomplishments are a distraction. Now, could it be that Jackson State still riding the wave of the commitment of Travis Hunter, the nation's #1 recruit? Could it be that even Deion Sanders and the Jackson State football team was still caught up in the accomplishment of signing Travis Hunter, that they were distracted? Because one thing was obvious, Mildred, they were not ready to play. They were not ready to play.
You want to talk about not being ready and being distracted? How about 3 penalties having 12 men on the field in the first half? We can't even get lined up, gentlemen. How we expect to win a game?
No question about it. No question about it. And so it was a big win for South Carolina State. No question. But Mildred, it was a big win at the end of the day for Black college football.
It was good for.
It was a big lesson. The Mercedes-Benz Superdome there in Atlanta filled to the rafters. They sold out. It was a victory for Black college football. But let me say this: it can't end there for Deion Sanders, and here's why. Congratulations for landing Travis Hunter.
Again.
Deion Sanders was smart enough to understand when he walked in that building as the head football coach at Jackson State University, he knew good and hell well who he had in his hip pocket. And by that I mean, Aflac, Subway sandwiches, Under Armour sports attire, and Slim.
Those that's the only ones we know.
Those just the ones we know about. Exactly. Let me tell you something. You see, two prominent African-American figures that are likened to this monumental accomplishment that Deion pulled off on Wednesday's early signing period when he flipped Travis Hunter and signed him after being committed to Florida State. Deion Sanders proved that he can win at their game, okay? At D1's game at an HBCU. Deion Sanders was surveyed the situation and he said, okay, these are the rules of engagement. This is how you play the game. Okay, and the game is NIL. Okay, name, image, likeness. That's the game. All right, now, go back. On the day you were born, October 3rd, 1995, the judge dropped the gavel declaring Orenthal James Simpson, O.J. Simpson, not guilty. O.J. Simpson saw the situation and he said, oh, these are the rules of engagement. It ain't my system, it's your system that says if you got enough money, if you got enough power, you can hire an all-star team of attorneys, F. Lee Bailey, Johnny Cochran, and he had about 4 or 5 more that were able to create just a shred of doubt and declare that man innocent. It wasn't about whether he was innocent or guilty. It's the money and the power behind
resources. It. Yes, sir.
The second case, Michael Jackson. When Michael Jackson started to rise to fame, what was the springboard to his rise to fame? What was coming in line about the same time Michael
Music
Jackson
television,
started to get
Coach.
famous?
Music television, videos.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Music television.
Billie
and it was either Michael Jackson or the people that handled Michael Jackson that surveyed the situation and said, okay, this is how you play the game. And right now, the man been dead almost 20 years, and they
Still the
still
king of pop.
calling him the king of pop.
Still the king, coach.
Listen, if you play dominoes, look at it like this. Deion Sanders said, okay, D1 football, you laid the spinner.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to play by your rules. And their rule was NIL. You can rest assured. Deion Sanders knew he had corporate America in his pocket. Whenever it comes out, the NIL that Travis Hunter got gonna blow our minds. Because I know if old no playing what the boy played at Oklahoma? Spencer Rattler.
Spencer Rattler.
It's Spencer Rattler, and him no playing behind, got 6 figures and 2 cars. It ain't no telling what Travis Hunter about to get at Jackson State. So, but while I'm on that, let me make this perfectly clear. Deion, your work is not over. Okay, congratulations on what you've accomplished, but your work is not over. Deion Sanders must elevate Black college football across the board. It's not good business for the Magic City Classic, Alabama State versus Alabama A&M, to lock up 2 bad teams playing. The Bayou City Classic, Doug Williams laughed about it when we had him on our show. We called it a pillow fight. It ain't good business when 2 losing teams, Southern and Grambling, meeting head to head in the Bayou City Classic. That is not good business. So Deion's got to elevate Black college football straight across the board. And
how you do it, coach?
I believe he can do it. Because here's the thing he said, and I think he's going to make good on his promise. He's told these Black college presidents and athletic directors, you fix your facilities, you fix them, or I'm going to bring my people in and we going to fix them. And so in order for the whole Deion Sanders experiment to be successful, Deion's going to have to elevate Black college football. One more point. And I'm sick of these folks up here talking about, oh, Deion Sanders is Moses. He's Moses. Bull shiitake mushroom. he dadgum show better not be Moses. Willie Jeffries in 1979 was Moses. Dennis Green at Northwestern University in 1981 was Moses. Deion Sanders better be Joshua.
Yes.
And Mildred, I think Deion Sanders is smart enough to understand that he is Joshua. Moses just took him through the wilderness. Well, Willie Jeffries, my mentor and friend in 1979, got the job at Wichita State. He led us through the wilderness. Deion talking about getting to the promised land. Deion Sanders is trying to take HBCU football, Jackson State, his program, where they can play Alabama on New Year's Day, where they can play Georgia, Cincinnati, or Michigan on New Year's Day. Deion Sanders playing, we're gonna be in the CFP party, and for stage 1, oh boy, he has proven
what a hell of an accomplishment.
Come on now, he has proven I can beat you at your game at an HBCU, and I take my hat off to you, bro.
Way to go, coach. Pro football coach Urban Meyer is fired, and in an interview that he did prior to being fired, he goes to say, I apologize to the Jacksonville nation, saying how heartbroken he was, and he was looking forward to ushering Jacksonville Jaguar Nation into the new era of football with new facilities because the people deserve it. What's your take on that, coach?
Yeah, sure you were, Urban. You were looking forward to ushering them into that when you hired that racist strength coach from the University of Iowa that was fired for making racist comments to the Black players at Iowa. I'm sure you were looking forward to ushering them into a new era when you signed 33-year-old Tim Tebow, who couldn't play when he was 23 years old. And I'm sure, Urban Meyer, that you were looking forward to ushering in a new era in Jacksonville Jaguar football when you
kicked that play, when you kicked the kicker, Josh Lambo, for no reason.
Yeah, well, kick the man. How dehumanizing is to kick a man? Are you kidding me? But again, Mildred, you talked about it in your pickings, entitlement. What has he done? What has he done in his head coaching career that would make you think he would do anything different once he got to Jacksonville? And oh, by the way, he had done nothing in pro football ranks to make you think he didn't rise up the ladder in coaching, nothing. He got it all dropped in his lap and he messed that up for the same reasons. Florida had 31 players arrested under his leadership at Florida. At Ohio State, he flippantly commented of having no knowledge of having Zach Smith, his assistant coach, who was slapping his wife around, and well, he knew it. Mm-hmm. The man had done nothing different. It's called entitlement. Good riddance. Good riddance.
Thank you, Coach. Pro football games.
Well, no, who gets the job? Not the job.
Who gets the job?
Who's gonna get the job?
In your opinion, Coach, who gets that job?
Well, I'm telling you.
Now that it's vacant.
What's that owner name? What kind of Khan was it?
Shahid Khan.
Shahid Khan. In my mind, he got two options. You can fix this mess. It's a social mess, this Urban Meyer. It was an athletic mess. It was a social mess. It was entitlement in its purest form. So what direction do you go? If you go minority, Byron Leftwich is ready. The offensive coordinator at Tampa Bay, coaching Tom Brady, and they on their way to the playoffs and playing well. Eric Bieniemy is a name that always keeps coming up, and he's a minority that is highly qualified. He's an Andy Reid disciple, and Eric Bieniemy got Patrick Mahomes looking like an MVP candidate as it come down the home stretch. But I'll give you another name, Dabo Swinney, and I'll tell you why. Number one, he lost his offensive coordinator, Tony Elliott, to Virginia. He lost his defensive coordinator, Brent Venables, to Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. Number two is the obvious reason. The quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, the face of the franchise, is a young man that he has guided since he was a freshman. Mm-hmm. Won a national championship with Trevor Lawrence at Clemson. Okay, so there's an obvious connection there. And number three, and most important, it might be time for Dabo to seek higher ground, because in light of the whole Ahmaud Arbery, Trayvon Martin, George Floyd, in light of that whole Black Lives Matter thing, mm-hmm. Dabo Swinney had the unmitigated gall and the audacity to sport a Football Matters shirt. Yep. Okay, with a little smirkish grin on his face. So it might be time, especially as Dion keeps doing his thing, it might be time for Dabo to hunt higher ground. So keep your eye open for that.
Agree on that one, Coach. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Now, pro football got some games already done went off. Colts snapped the Patriots 7-game winning streak.
They did
27-17.
You know,
Ravens lost today to Green Bay.
That was a tough one. I tell you, Slim, the big thing that I'm watching as this thing turns for home. Now, all these teams got 4 games left. Home field advantage. Who's going to get the home field advantage? You get the home field advantage, you get a first round bye. And Kansas City's fighting in the AFC West. They look like they could get it. Green Bay won a big one, visited Baltimore, came out there with a victory. Aaron Rodgers got them fighting for the home field advantage. Don't look like the Cardinals want the home field advantage. They can't beat Detroit. So I think that's the big thing. Who gets this home field advantage as we come down the home stretch? No question. Man, Merry Christmas, dude.
It was a pleasure getting up in the studio with you again, Coach, for this late night special.
Always, man. Give my love to everybody back in Oklahoma City.
Tell all my love.
I sure enough will, partner.
All right, Coach.
And finally tonight, as the 2021 College Football Hall of Fame inductions were awarded, I am fondly reminded of a College Football Hall of Famer who will forever be near and dear to my heart. Rod Schultz from Fort Coffee, Oklahoma. Lee Vesta, Mr. and Mrs. Lee Vesta Schultz, and they're of Fort Coffee, Oklahoma, and their good and dear friends, John and Doris Montgomery of Poto, Oklahoma, were tireless, faithful workers in the LaFleur County branch of the NAACP. Rod Schultz grew up in a community, Fort Coffee, Oklahoma, at a population of less than 1,000, 95% African American. Now, the Oklahoma game day football program and Wikipedia will record that Rod is from Spiro, Oklahoma. Indeed, he did go to Spiro High School, and Spiro, Oklahoma had a population of about 3,500 people, and over half of it was African American. At the 1971 Rod Schultz junior year in high school, the yearbook committee was voting on class favorites. Most studious, best looking, most likely to succeed, most athletic. Every time the African American students would raise their hand to nominate, they were snubbed. Voter suppression didn't just get popular when Joe Biden ran for president versus Donald Trump. In retaliation, they organized a boycott. They didn't march in the band. They didn't play any varsity sports. Rod Schultz helped orchestrate that boycott. And by his senior year, the Spiro faithful had made sure that Rod would not receive any recruiting attention. And Rod Schultz was signed to the University of Oklahoma on a whim at the insistence and the persistence of then assistant coach Bobby Womack. He went on to be the University of Oklahoma's 3-time All-American. They've only had 2 in the history of the program, Buddy Burris in 1948. But oh, to be sure, Rod Schultz is the only 3-time All-American in the modern day era of the University of Oklahoma football program. Rod Schultz was a champion for civil rights long before he was a standout on the gridiron at the University of Oklahoma. And hey, that's how I see it. 6 o'clock, straight up and down.
Hey, man, what a show, Coach.
Hey, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's how we see it, and that's how it is.
Ain't no question.
Thank God we get to do this again.
Thank God.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so very much for tuning into this week's episode of Homespun Sports. Sports talk with a twist of down-home wisdom. Shout out once again to Mr. Tyrone Wheatley for being our special guest on episode 17. We thank you so very much for your support, and we look forward to a healthy relationship in the future. Coach,
hey, man.
Matter of fact, hold on, y'all. Make sure y'all hit that subscribe button, hit the likes, hit the comment. Make sure you subscribe to all of our content. It's all for you, and it's all for real, so you don't miss any of it when it comes out. Hey, Coach, let's go ahead and get up out of here like we came in.
Hey, man, Merry Christmas. We appreciate the love and the support. We're trying to make this thing move better every episode. Tune in next week. We're going to keep it 6 o'clock straight up and down. Slim! What he said. Bang!